I had to mention Yoko in the pre-credits, didn't I?
Special appearance by Yoko Ono tonight on the podcast.
I was like, who the hell is singing? It was not me.
Or in honor of this episode, Yoko won.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Geek and I. This is Federation Friday, episode 23. And I'll tell you, 2 in a row that I really enjoyed. I don't know about next week, but so far I think they've hit their stride with these 2.
Yeah,
what do you
totally
guys think?
agree.
Tonight is a Taste of Armageddon, which I don't know why, but every time that I think of the title or I say the title or I read the title, I think Beefsteak Charlie's. I don't get a taste of Armageddon right here at Beefsteak Charlie's. All the shrimp you can eat.
Shrimp.
Oh, shrimp.
Wait, no, that's the other one. Yeah, this is a good episode, and watching it now, going 50 years on, it is amazing how eerily predicted they made computer warfare. Like we're in the age where computers are making decisions about troop movements and AI analysis of battlefield tactics, and they were half a century ahead of this, with one step beyond. But I think that the message holds up as much today as it did then.
So what I was thinking to myself after or while watching this episode was, what is the message of this particular episode?
I came away with a very simple one, and that is just war. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
I'd say it again. I think it's about the futility of war and about the unwillingness to change and just falling into those same repeated traps. Now, one of the things that struck me in this episode is they say they're 3 million people a year for 500 years. That's 1.5 billion people who have died just on Aminiar 7. So if we assume that Vendikar, which I don't know why it's not called Aminiar 3, had the same, you're talking like 3 billion people have died since this started.
3 billion.
Billion with a B.
Yeah.
So it's staggering when you look at those numbers that nobody said, you know what, maybe we should kind of rethink this.
It was an easy out for them, though.
It was. I mean, they still had their civilization. They were clearly advanced. But still, what did you give up? I mean, and what I like in the remaster too, they show these beautiful shots of the city, right? They put in the Disney monorail in the background going back and forth. Was the sparsity of people. So who the hell knows what the number of their population should have been at this point versus what it actually was.
Right. And what about Vendikar? I was hoping we'd get to go see from their perspective also.
This to me almost feels like an episode we should have had a follow-up at some point.
Yeah.
Either in this series or 80 years later in Next Gen. But I think it would have been interesting to see what happened. They have revisited this in some of the books and in the comics. And I know in the comics, the trial of James T. Kirk. The peace talks fell apart very quickly, and they actually went back to real war, and it was a disaster for both sides.
Why is he? Why is it? Is it trials as in he's on trial again, or is it trials as in, his journeys and his the tough decisions he's had to make?
No, he's on trial again. And our good friend Samuel T. Cogley makes an appearance. Some other characters from memorable episodes make an appearance. So yeah, it's a good read. It's a fun comic, but interesting some of the directions that these characters have taken since Mr. Disregard Prime Directive got involved with their civilizations.
Well, how about that? What's his name? The guy that they're taking. The guy that they're taking to the planet.
Fox.
Yeah.
What an asshole.
Total asshole, but he does show a little redemption arc there at the end when he realizes, oops, my life is in danger. Yeah, I'm sure I'll join the fight. Oddly enough, the Robert Fox gets a shout out in Next Gen.
Really?
There's a vessel, and I can't remember what episode it's in, named the SS Robert Fox. So at least it was a tip of the hat mention.
So I guess he did accomplish something to get a.
Well, he single-handedly brought the wide-neck Nehru jacket into the 23rd century. That's a great book.
All right. I think I don't know. This ship looks really good in this episode.
I think it's lit particularly well in a few shots.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like it's got lights all over it in every direction.
Right. Like this particular one here looks, it looks accurate, like it's coming off of one light source. So they're going to MNR 7. They're bringing the, I don't know, what would you call him? Is he the ambassador? The ambassador?
Yeah.
And they're not getting a reply. Now, they're not answering because they don't want anybody interfering with them? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
yes.
It sounds like they're pretty closed off. I mean, they mentioned they've had space travel for a while, but never left their own solar system. So they could just be xenophobic at this point. They don't know. But they do know that they lost a survey ship 50 years previously.
And that the ambassador's jersey or uniform top, that's very reminiscent to Star Trek II, and with that flap the
flap that goes down the side.
Well, no, does it actually fold? Do we see it fold down? I don't recall.
No, I don't think that folds down.
So what is it, code 710?
Stay away.
Yeah.
Code 711 means I need a Slurpee.
Okay. I was wondering what that code was. So the ambassador is basically saying, screw it, we're going in no matter what. And right there, that's the beginning of the problem.
Yeah, we kind of get into the muddy waters with Starfleet Federation policies about who's actually in charge of a ship. Now, clearly he has his mission, but the captain's mission is the safety of the crew and the vessel first. So, to me, this was a little bit of a head scratcher, but it's not the last time we see this dynamic at play in other episodes.
Right. Well, doesn't he? I mean, basically, that's what Kirk says all the time: is save, do what you got to do, but save the ship.
As he does here later in the episode.
So, ignoring the 710, Kirk is worried about interplanetary war. How far away? I mean, would this be actual interplanetary war? I mean, they haven't, like you said, they haven't left in centuries, or they don't travel.
I think he's just afraid of dragging the Federation into it, which would then make it interplanetary from their perspective. They know there's a conflict going on in that system. They're aware of it. They just don't know to what extent.
Right, and that it's all virtual.
Yep.
We get the Kirk stare, and then we are in orbit. So I guess they've been off planet. They just haven't been out of their solar system.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's mentioned in the episode that Vendikar was an offshoot colony from Aminiar 7. So they've traveled within their own solar system.
So this would be like going to Mars and then starting a war with Mars.
Yeah, it's an intro space system war, not inter.
And then what is the USS Valiant?
That's the ship they lost 50 years ago. That went to this planet and never returned.
So they could have been struck in orbit and then what? Or they could have been on the ground and gotten killed.
One or the other.
Well, there is a throwaway line when they're in the war room that NR 7s. By the way, poor writing. They both end in 7. At one point, I'm like, wait, is Anar the planet or is Aminiar the planet? We could have made him Anar 8 or Anar 9.
Right. And what is this? What is the number? Is he the only one that has a number after his name?
No, the girl does too.
The girl was a 2.
Well, she was a 3.
She was
a 3.
Yeah, she was like a 9 who was given a 2.
She's a 9 on 2 for 1 drink night.
She's an MNR 7 9, but a Vendikar 2. So, I assume it's like a last name. Everybody like share 17. I guess they just go with numbers. So actually, Anar 7's aide says it's happening just like it did 50 years ago when they see the Enterprise get hit in orbit. So I'm assuming that it's the same circumstances. The only thing missing from that line was just like it happened 50 years ago, this very night. No.
Yeah. So there's no hostility coming from the planet, and they decide to go on down, I guess, right? They just say, screw the 710, and we're going in.
Well, they've got orders from Fox. So, and again, Kirk kind of says, yeah, we're going, but I'm going down, not you.
Right. And then Fox says, ring, ding, 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 ding. I'm glad you guys got that. I just came up with that one.
Hey, can I tell you how much I appreciate Scotty in this episode?
Yeah, given the keys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the first time we see him given the keys in full command.
Yeah.
And as the show progresses, by default, Scotty always seems to be the third guy in charge. And kind of wonder why he never went after his own command, because he's great when he's in charge.
Yeah, he's a tough little Scotsman.
They all are.
I think he prefers to get his hands dirty. I think he enjoys working in engineering.
I mean, he did reach the rank of captain, but captain of engineering at some point, but not captaincy of a ship.
Right.
Beautiful digital map painting here.
So is this the MNR7 horse track?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass though, because it's like, here comes Papa's Little Helper 6, followed by, they all have numbers after the horse names too. Okay, so these guys look like they just fell out of Alice in Wonderland. This was just not a good costume choice.
And that was something I was wondering while watching the episode, is you see all these uniforms and outfits on these, let's say, the alien races. And then here we beam down in a long sleeve t-shirt and silk pants,
It's a laid back society.
So they beam down, and she says they're going to beam down over there. And then it was actually pretty neat, because I didn't expect it to happen this way, because I'm looking, thinking back at that map painting, like, where the hell are they going to land? And there it is. There's another wall.
Yeah, beautiful work compositing the original into this digital painting. And I'll tell you the truth, politically, they must have a very similar situation, because there are gaps in the border wall to keep the vendor cards out. And you can see now, if they could just get the funding to finish that wall around an MNR7, this wouldn't be a problem.
So they're having a conversation, and this guy looked strangely familiar. Like, I've seen him in a bunch of other things.
You have. He had a very long career in television, did a lot of work. The one thing I got to tell you, very interesting here, right? Now, we haven't really dealt with the Klingons yet. The black turtlenecks, the gold pattern material over his shoulder, and even the hand weapons that the Aminiar 7 people use, they're all Klingon. They got repurposed to the Klingons and kind of got stuck with them through the rest of the series.
And he's got the beard of a Klingon, and
yeah.
He could be like John Colicos's cousin. But Kirk thinks that's impossible, so So he's letting Kirk know that he shouldn't be there because there's a war going on, correct?
Yes, but just like in Faulty Towers, people kept going, don't mention the war. I think I mentioned it once and got away with it. Spock is totally perplexed, like, what the hell are you talking about?
It's a Cold War. So they're losing, like you said, 1 to 3 million each year from enemy attack. And looking at the painting, I'm thinking to myself, it doesn't look like there's battles anywhere going on, or they're being bombed or anything. So they're at war with their neighbor Vendikar, right? No numbers on Vendikar. Maybe that's why there's a war.
Yeah, they won't use numbers. They were not. They went to the third planet. They refused to call themselves Aminiar 3. That's what started this whole thing.
And now we have guys with fish hats on.
And what I thought were next gen Cobra phasers when I first looked at it. The Dustbuster phase,
Mm-hmm.
They have slightly different hats.
Now their computers look like they've rolled them in right off the Enterprise.
I am almost positive these are the computers that Spock was messing around with when he hid behind the grid.
Yeah.
Starbase. I'm almost positive those are those computers.
So now all of a sudden they're under attack, right?
Yeah.
And there's no rhyme or reason for the attack, right? They just say, okay, send over some make-believe rockets.
Yeah, the bombs materialize over their targets and explode.
So it's kind of like electronic battleship.
Yes. So just to take a moment, actress Barbara Babcock has had an appearance, again, very well-known TV actress. You've seen her in a lot of things. Has had an appearance already in Star Trek, in Squire of Gothos. She was the voice of Traylene's mother.
Oh, she was okay. Very cool. Because I didn't see that on when I was doing the research. Because I actually did research on her because she looked really, really familiar. And what I came up with was Clint Eastwood's wife from Space Cowboys.
Yes, she was in that. Back in the 80s, she had a recurring part on Hill Street Blues.
Okay.
Yeah, she's worked steadily since the late 50s on, and she does show up again both in voice and I believe in a on-screen part in future episodes.
I think Journey to Babel's where she pops up again.
I don't think I know it's the one with Sargon. She does a voice. No, Plato's Stepchildren. That's the one she shows up in. Not Journey to Babel, Plato's Stepchildren, which is a season 3 episode. That was bothering me all day, and I swore I wasn't going to go to the IMDb to figure it out. So the flashlight in the screen behind shows where the damage happened.
It's a pretty big explosion. Now, is that the city that they're in, or is that the whole landmass?
Hard to tell, but I think it's the landmass.
So it's really, I mean, it's like, what would you say that is, an eighth of the entire land of
the capital where they are? Yeah. Because they beam down right in the capital area. So and now Maya is giving us a explanation as to what's going on because our fearless heroes are completely stumped. So of course he asks the guy with the ears, "Do you hear anything?"
Hey. And Yeoman Tamura looks like she's happy to be there.
Yeah, she looks like she's struggling to remember what her next line is. And now she's looking down at the script.
And they can't figure out why there's no sounds or anything. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, you know, this is strange. Why is this happening?
So you didn't see the twist coming?
No.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I did. This is an episode I have never even turned on before.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I had no idea what was going on, and so they're on a first name basis.
Yeah, you didn't have to call him Mr. Seven.
And here we have the authority stance, hands on the hips.
I'm in charge.
And he takes a step to the right.
Yeah. And Kirk at this point is just losing his patience. What do you mean casualties are high? No radiations? Plural? All right. So if they lose 1 to 3 million a year and just got hit for $500,000, this must have been a major hit.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how often attacks occur. Do they mention that? I don't recall.
Yeah, Mia mentions they happen quite often. So they go to their teletype. He's like, "Oh no, President Kennedy's been shot." And wow, does this yeoman look totally disinterested to be in the landing party?
Well, I mean, if you remember last week, the one that was excited to go down with the landing party ended up having big issues.
Yeah, that's true.
She's like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to be here anymore."
I heard what happened last week. I'm not happy to be here. To be honest, though, they really should remove that sign from the transporter room that said it's been X number of days since our last landing party accident.
So this is where Spock put it together pretty quick, this episode. It didn't take, 45 minutes of figuring out and playing chess.
Yeah. This one did.
So what's going on is basically, it's the names are registered, I guess, by Are they tracking everybody? And they know where they are at the time? Because, like, what if I'm outside of the flashlight?
Then I would think you're safe. It probably takes into account where everybody is and then just extracts data based on casualty projections and what the chance of survival, where you are at any given moment.
So how many died in that attack?
Or they do it like jury duty and just randomly pull numbers. They don't really make it clear.
How many died in the attack?
500,000.
500,000.
So okay, well we'll get there, and then I have a question on 500,000 and
it involves math. I knew it because I had the same question. Long division. I know where we're going with this.
So now, if they don't report to the disintegration machines, does Vendikar really attack?
It's a war on the honor system. What's amazing here, Spock has got it figured out, and even after explaining all this to Kirk, Kirk is still trying to piece it together.
Well, don't forget, he's human.
It's true. Why would you have an imaginary disintegration machine? And what's jarring here, right? He just lost his wife. Later in the episode, we see a woman get into the chamber, kiss her husband on the cheek like she's going shopping. Like it's nothing, just does her duty, gets in the disintegration machine, and then she's gone. And that guy heads out like he's heading to MNR 7 singles night. Yeah, Jim. Yeah, he's going to tell you for the fourth time, this is what's going on. Yeah.
So this is called stretching the script.
Yeah. And Spock looks just totally appalled at this concept.
Well, he looks puzzled. He's like, he looks like he's trying to figure out, why would anybody do this?
Or why can't Jim get this concept? It's a combination of like, this is horrifying and embarrassing at the same time.
This is the look of, this guy is the captain? So it's destroyed by a tri-cobalt satellite explosion. Now, is that just the image from the satellite, or is that like the hypothetical weapon that they would use?
The hypothetical weapon.
So now we find out it hit the ship as well. And they need everybody to report down for disintegration. And they arrest the landing party. And Tamura's like, oh, I know it. Should have taken a sick day today.
She's like, 2 more days till retirement.
She's 19 and she's already too old for this shit.
Well, to be a Captain Joman, sure. So here they are in my grandmother's living room circa 1976.
I'd lived there.
I got to give them credit. Limited budget. I saw what they were trying to do, but maybe throw some space age silver on some stuff, or some of those nice metallic sheets from sickbay,
Or at least hang up Spock's shower curtain.
Yeah, I've literally seen the same setup in Corvettes. The only thing that was missing are the oil lamps.
So she's dead also in this, or is that a later attack? Oh, she's dead now. Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's dead and has 24 hours to report.
Okay, so she was standing right next to them. Why aren't they all dead?
Oh, because they were in the other room. So that's how accurate it is. Maybe that if you're in the war room, you are exempt.
And that could be why, what's his name? Emanar 7? Emanar?
No, that's the planet. Anar is the guy.
Oh, okay.
I have a sticker on my monitor to keep it straight. Mm-hmm.
So what's his name?
Anar 7.
Anar?
Yeah. Anar 7 from MNR 7.
So is it possible that they don't die because they're leaders?
Well, I'd like to think there are some galactic constants in the universe. Yeah, they probably have some exception. Which I have to say, after the events 50 years earlier of the USS Valiant, nobody picked up that phone to Vendikar and said, "Hey, we got a weird one here. We may not want to count, foreign spaceships, or we might be looking at trouble."
That's a good point.
They're like, time out.
Can I get the help desk?
Wait, did my camera go out again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But you have a smile on your face.
Hold on, let me see something here.
Who are you kidding? You can't see.
I can only see half my face.
He's back.
I'm back. Okay. I think I got a faulty
Towers.
Yeah, that's two in this episode. I got a faulty USB spot on my hub. And I think it's going out. So I literally just turned the switch off and on and it came back.
And check your mic now, too. Do a sound check.
You want me to do Yoko scream?
No.
Okay, sound check.
That is a sound.
So here's my question for this episode, and it's the only thing I don't want to nitpick, but I found a little fault that after 500 years of doing this electronically, why do they still have conventional weapons?
Well, you can't trust the other side. So somebody has to have, you would both, I guess, have to have the real weapons, so you don't know if the other side is building conventional weapons to blow up the planet for real.
I guess trust but verify. Yeah, maybe. Or they just been sitting there stockpiling 500-year-old weapons. This entire episode, Kirk's like he's still piecing it together. He just looks so intent, like, I can't figure this out. And of course, the voice of reason comes up to the bridge. Now, this is a buddy cop show I would watch. And now they get the call from Captain Kirk.
So they're getting the whole ship is coming down for shore leave, and they're just gonna float around in space with an empty ship.
Oh no, they were gonna beam people up, the people from the planet up to temporarily take their positions.
So right there, right, that's kind of a red flag. Hey, you know these people we just met? They're coming up to man the ship untrained. So we're good.
Everybody to the transporter bay.
Now, what's interesting, and this is the path they didn't go down, once they get on that ship, they've got something capable of destroying the entire surface of Vendikar.
Yeah.
To me, that's almost like, how stupid are you guys? You got a way to end this once and for all, and no, you're going to destroy that ship because it was in the flashlight zone. And Scotty not believing a word of it. You know, he might be drunk, but he's not that drunk.
And he's he's actually, this is where he runs the AI search to see if the message is real or not.
So oddly enough, the previous screen shows NR7 speaking with Captain Kirk's voice. And this says that it was a voice duplicator. Is it a natural ability of the MNR people to mimic anything they hear? Because he's not using any kind of special equipment. I don't see him speaking into something to convert it over. It just seemed like an odd choice.
Well, he's got a flip phone, and the early flip phones used to do that.
Oh, it was an app?
It's an app on the early flip phones, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of the A, B, C, D, you could just flip the phone open and copy a voice.
I thought it would be more effective if you saw him talking in his natural voice on the planet and coming out as Kirk's voice on the bridge.
Well, that would have been
Logical.
Yeah.
Someone had to say it.
Yeah. Unless he had one of those Mission Impossible breathe right strips stuck to his neck.
Or he could have just put a handkerchief up to the communicator. Because, 53 years of TV watching told me that's the perfect voice changer.
Well, Frank Drebin just uses a handkerchief.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So here we learn that Vulcanians are telepathic also. Is this the first time the telepathy has come through?
Yeah, brag much, Spock. Yes, the limited telepathy. I always saw them more as receivers than transmitters, but okay, I'd buy it. And if I remember correctly, in one of the reference materials I have, this came up with because they couldn't figure out a way for Spock to touch him to do the mind meld.
But then they forgot about that in Star Trek 2. So now he's fingering the door. And Kirk does the behind the doorway stance. Now, is this guy, what did he do to him? Did he hypnotize him to open the door, or did he send them a message like,
It was a Jedi mind trick.
wrong franchise?
The other thing
I know that's later tonight.
The other thing he could have done was walk up to the door and go, knock. But that's just me. We get an excellent display of Kirk Fu. By the way,
he does the double Kirk Fu. He does left shoulder, right shoulder.
I will tell you why this war lasted 500 years. The level of fighting ability that the Aminiar population shows in this episode is atrocious. At one point, Kirk takes out 6 guards by himself. like, and they all, oh. How the hell does that work? Oh, yeah. And
well, he's like
you hide.
He's like Nigel Powers.
Yeah. Yeah.
First, I'm going to hit you. Then I'm going to tick you. And then you. Judo chop.
And here we have the disintegration booth.
Now, how many do you think there are across the planet to do half a million people in 24 hours, one at a time?
Yeah. Here's my take on this. They take out 2 booths, right, through the course of the episode. And there's a line of dialogue. We're already way behind schedule. The math doesn't hold up, even for us. So, yeah, I would think there'd have to be one on every street corner, like a telephone booth.
Right.
But for that to be effective. Or maybe these are just the public ones and everybody has one in their house.
Well, and also, I mean, they could all, they might not be disintegration booths. They could also be roach motels because they go in, but they do not come out. And she's just ready to go. I guess, I mean, that's how I guess when you're brought up that way, you have no care. There's nothing there, and you'll just walk in.
I think they said something earlier about it being a sense of duty.
And I know this came beforehand. I'm pretty sure, because I'm not sure when the novel was published. But there was almost, this reminded me very much of Logan's Run. Where you hit 30, and then you went to Carousel, and that was it. But you did have those few people who ran. So, and didn't submit to Carousel. So, kind of an interesting parallel.
Yeah.
She's ready to give it up and do her duty as a Eminar Sevenian.
Eminarian.
I thought this was funny. I was like, what the hell?
What do you mean, a spider? So then we blow up this one, and that is that a Klingon disruptor?
That is a Klingon disruptor.
Exact.
Yeah, pretty much old school. Now that weapon does show up in other episodes with some slight modifications. I think one has like some shielding around that gridded part up front, but this thing shows up again and again and again.
And this is the one that makes the
yeah.
And she's legit upset.
I'm thinking somebody should tell these guys the buttons are supposed to be on the other side of the table.
Well, that's very efficient to have them on both sides. So what are we shooting at now?
The Enterprise.
With the sound waves, right? Is that what it was? Sound waves?
Some kind of sonic disruption traveling through the vacuum of space. That would hit their outer atmosphere and then do nothing. So,
well, okay, Mr. Science Guy.
Okay, now where have we seen this crewman before? Not the best shot of him.
Was it on that one planet where isn't he with that girl?
Yes, I know what you're thinking of, but it's not the right answer. I'll give you I'll give you a hint. Beep, beep, beep.
Ike?
Yeah. This was the actor. This was the actor they made up to be Captain Pike in the chair.
Oh.
He's got a lot more hair now.
His name is Sean Kenny.
So sonic vibrations. Decibel 18 to the 12th power. Go.
A lot.
Are they just making up numbers to sound impressive?
Yeah, he's like, it's got 18 to the 12. What? Oh. 18 to the 12, huh? Okay. Yeah. Again, you guys work in space. This decibel thing shouldn't be any concern.
So phasers don't go through the shields, but the photon torpedoes do?
So this is just clearly a mistake. How many times do we later see ray shields, fire all weapons? So yeah, that's just clearly a mistake. Transporting, yes, that doesn't work through shields, but your own weapons should be attuned to your own
frequency. Yeah.
So your own weapon energy signatures can actually penetrate the shield. Otherwise, if you have your shields up and fire your phasers, do they bounce back and destroy you? That seems like a pretty poor design. And do all these guys pack one outfit for a long space trip?
Now this Fox guy, is he related to that There's a character in Next Gen that had baggy eyes like him.
I don't.
You know, remember? They were doing like testing on the Enterprise.
Oh, that guy was an alien, right?
Yeah. And he had the long droopy.
Wait, was that the guy from with this playing Data?
I think, yeah.
Yeah. The guy who worked for Recall.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could have been a forefather. Sure. Why not?
Met his grandmother.
You can see this guy looking like Pike here in this particular angle. You can see the resemblance to Jeff Hunter, I think.
Yeah. So here we are back in the living room. Nice couch.
Hmm.
I thought I saw that at Goodwill last week.
It's a pull-out. It's really nice. Yeah. And she's at least coming around to the idea of, you know what, maybe this isn't the best thing, but it's the best we got.
Right, because, I mean, that's what I guess where I was going earlier was, is it better to, like with the message of the story, is it better to have virtual war that leaves structures and buildings and society standing, or is it better to have actual war where you finally say, okay, you know what? That's it. We quit.
My personal take on this is, without the destruction that actually comes with the war, there really is a big component missing for the drive to end the war. Lives are being lost. It's terrible, yes, but they've resigned themselves to that fact. The fact that they have nothing to rebuild, nothing to mourn the loss of besides population, which clearly has become just another commodity of the war, I think it actually prolongs the war. You know,
right, and that's why it's been going on for 500 years, is because there's no real loss.
Right.
I mean, yes, there's loss in the loss of life, but you know, the way I see it is, you know, without dropping a couple of nukes, how long would the war have continued?
Mm-hmm. Exactly correct. I mean, up to this point, the only thing that's been destroyed really in the last couple of 100 years was the USS Valiant. And it wasn't theirs. So, and I'm sure they felt bad about it. But again, you look at places like Germany, right? When we bombed the crap out of them in World War II and destroyed entire cities, not populations, but cities, that's what broke them. Psychologically, I think it does push one towards wanting an end to conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's not just loss of life, it's destruction of that around you. Oh, special guest star.
That's Chewy, my cat.
This was a great line. I had to go back and grab this line. I missed it a couple of times because he says it so quickly. But yeah, I used that all this week. You know, you shipped out that part wrong. Well, the haggis is really in the fire for sure.
And this is a great little bit of dialogue between these two men. It really gets to the heart of the philosophical matter of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, what is better? To lose life or lose everything? And I know, and you know, you say it like, okay, well, it's only a TV show, and you know, the loss of life is a bad thing. I don't know. It's a great, like you say, question. What would you rather do?
And what's interesting is we just learned about Earth history in the previous episode. Earth had to have that global conflict, that the last big destructive war, to get where it is now. And I think it was kind of a little opportunity missed here to them to bounce off, to say Earth went through the same thing. We lost millions of people in our last conflict, and that's when we came together as a people and decried enough.
Mm-hmm.
There's almost this arrogance coming from the Armenians that, yes, it's terrible, but we found a better way.
Right.
Have you? I mean,
yeah.
Have you sat down and really thought about it? Have you found a better way?
That's a good point. I mean, it's a good question. You know, and Deb, if you need to bail to go do your other stream, you can just step into the disintegration chamber at any time and
4 hours.
Go ahead and pop out. But I'll see you next week.
No, next week is Valentine's Day. I'm going to the cabin.
Well, who the hell does that? All right. Well, the week after then.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Well, now that she's gone. I like this. I like the way he does like the, come over here.
Come here, you. Come here. And here we are taking on the entire populace of Armenian 7.
It's like I was just watching Roadhouse before this. It's like the scene in the parking lot where he's beating everybody.
It's okay, Anar. We've got it. He's hiding behind a column here. This guy has to clock Kirk twice. He pistol whips him twice to get him to go down.
That's how tough Kirk is.
And is it me, or is everyone on this planet dressed like, a Batman villain's henchman? Now, this is interesting, right? This guy here on the left, when I saw him in this costume, immediately took me to DS9 Triple episode. This is very reminiscent of the costume Arn Darvid wears. The Klingon agent.
Mm-hmm.
Klingon agent.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was on same style, same cut. Very.
What the trouble with tribbles is season 2, or is that coming up?
That's the season 2 episode.
Season 2?
Yep.
So Fox beams down with the one guy,
And a reused prop.
and he's going to be escorted right into the disintegration chamber.
Notice he's carrying the Talos 4 notebook
Mm-hmm.
with the lock on it.
And he's like, what you talking about, Willis?
At this point, I half expected him to pull his head inside the collar like a turtle. Dead? Yes. I thought Spock was filing his nails there for a second. Okay, and again, didn't realize this until now. That later is a Klingon communicator.
Is it? Yeah.
So apparently, MNR7 has been producing everything. They must be like the China
Yeah.
for the Klingon homeworld.
It's the Klingon Timu.
Timo 4.
And I completely forgot these guys took the costumes or took the uniforms, and I'm sitting there going, doesn't Spock realize that there's 2 of them standing right over his shoulder?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's right.
So natural in those costumes. Now the yeoman looks real tough here.
Yeah, well, she's got the I'm in command stance. I think the guy in the purple suit should have been disintegrated.
I don't know if he dies at the end or not, but he does get shot.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he does.
I don't know if he was just sonically disrupted or if he actually died. But yeah, I
So
think
those aren't even like phasers either, right? Those are just sound weapons.
so. A disruptor, from everything I've read, works on a different principle than a phaser. So it's a little bit more crude. So where a phaser is directing phased energy rectification towards a target, so it's directing energy. A disruptor actually disrupts the molecular structure of the target it hits. Sometimes explosively. So
That sounds like it hurts.
yeah, it's a painful weapon because as we see here, it makes lots of pretty spark stuff. So maybe on a low setting, it's like getting punched. I don't know that they have a stun setting. Later on, we see Klingons using disruptors at different settings, not to kill, but to, So this is the closest Spock's going to get to an I'm sorry. At this point, let's not assume he knows the position you're in, because I don't think he's going to piece it back together and
it's
on the bridge.
This is going to be such a weird sounding. I mean, he's going to need to redo the captain's log like 4 or 5 times because he's not going to realize what he's saying.
And that's Anwar 7 explaining what he saw on The View today. No, he doesn't understand. It's clear.
Yeah, he doesn't get it.
So wait, you just step into that thing? Yes, you saw it with your own eyes. I thought it was a magic trick.
And this is pretty cool where he turns it around on him. He's like claims that, like, you think I'm the barbarian? You're the one that's just throwing people in a closet and turning them to dust.
I would have liked to have seen a little smoke effect in those disintegration chambers, but whatever. Oh, I see some more reused props there in the middle.
Well, did the doors close on the chambers?
Yes. I could see, I don't know if you saw there in the middle, we've got the television communication screens that were originally on Pike's Enterprise. The one that came off the arm on the center chair. And
it's nice that they go back to and use all the old stuff. So 2 hours, I guess that's what did he call it? Code 2024 or something like that?
Order 24. As opposed to a code 710.
Right. So there he goes down. There's the guy in the background. I was wondering who that was because I was hoping to get to do another, red shirt death because we haven't had a red shirt death in quite some time.
Yeah, it's been a while. This poor guy gets off without getting a line in the episode. So I guess he's a featured background player. I don't even know if he's on the IMDb.
And Scotty ain't messing around because he's about to destroy everybody. That's
yeah, he's like, and then after you, I'm going to Vendikar. And guess what I'm going to do to Vendikar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, here comes, look at this. He just gives him a slight shove and everybody goes down. That is the biggest right hook I've ever seen. It took out 3 people. So this cracked me up, right? You're in an enemy encampment. You're trying to sabotage what they're doing. The first thing Kirk does is walk into the war room and put his gun down on the table. And this is the crux of the episode. So neat and painless, you had no reason to stop it.
Yeah. And that's why I asked, I mean, what is, you hate to see any kind of war, but what is better? War that actually destroys things, or war that just does the people in,
Yeah.
So now they're destroying the computer that controls the war. Correct? This is the one that chose the targets and fired the flashlight.
Yep, that's the one. And there goes the back computers. Now, why Kirk needed his own phaser and not the disruptor they had in their hand to do it, I don't know. But
Because we needed a blue line to come out of it.
I guess so. That was the special effects budget for this one. And Kirk finally kind of pieces it together and gives him the rousing, "It's up to you" speech.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, this is a very thought-provoking episode.
And that's the line for me, knowing that I will not kill today. That's
Yeah,
all
because you don't have to. I mean, everybody can just get along.
And now we see Fox softening a little bit, kind of maybe back in his comfort zone. I do think that by the end of this episode, you realize he really did want to help. He was just going about it the worst possible way.
Well, I think a lot of times what they do with these ambassadors and who was that other guy that tried to take over the ship?
The guy with the cape.
Yeah. Did he have a cape?
He had like a half cape around the shoulders. Yeah, the Galactic Commissioner Ferris.
Yeah. They always have this like power hungry person that tries to stand up to Kirk and, you know, take over and be the tough guy. And we all learn that Kirk knows everything.
That's right. You know, it's almost as if the ambassadors in Star Trek always look their nose down at Starfleet, including Sarek, until he came around. You know, I don't know if the quasi-military nature of Starfleet makes them uncomfortable, but without Starfleet, there would be no peace.
Right, and you know, now that you mention Sarek, I was watching. I watched the first 30 minutes of Broken Bow from Enterprise, and what's his name? Surak, Ambassador Pointy Ears.
Sabal?
Is that his name? Sabal?
Soval, Gary Graham.
Yeah. He's the same way.
Yeah.
They all know better than, you know, everybody else.
That character of Soval, to me, could have been Sarek's father, or a close relative at some point. But again, by the time Enterprise ends, Soval has learned something about humanity and about their abilities, which I always kind of like with the Vulcans. They get so stuck up in their own superiority that somewhere along the way, that facade kind of drops. And they do actually embrace this edict they talk about infinite diversity and infinite combinations. So to me, it's interesting. They have this whole, they're not supposed to have it because they believe in infinite diversity and combinations. But if you ask a Vulcan, Vulcans are superior at everything, which kind of makes me chuckle.
Right.
But spending enough time with humans, or non-Vulcan species, they do learn to appreciate the differences. And I think part of that is that the Vulcans are a very closed society. You know, Spock was one of the first to go into Starfleet. Previous to that, it was not even an option for Vulcans. And by the time the next gen comes around, Vulcans are all through Starfleet.
So, going back to Enterprise, I know she wasn't in Starfleet, but what the hell is her name?
Paul.
T'Pol.
Mm-hmm.
She's just stationed on the Enterprise as kind of like a spy.
Babysitter. She doesn't want to be there.
Right.
And again,
Better word than spy.
Yeah. And by the end of that show, though, she came to love a human.
I guess I need to, maybe we'll do that next once season 1's over, go into season 1 of Enterprise. Because I've never watched, I don't think I've gotten past season 3. So,
just a quick ad here. Joe Pevney directs 14 episodes of Star Trek into season 2. He directs. He had previously directed Arena, and he also directed Return of the Archons. And he will go on to direct some of the more famous episodes in Star Trek history.
So he's a good one.
Yes, and Gene L. Kuhn, who was really the driving force behind a lot of what Star Trek became and is today. Very talented guy.
Yeah, and again, like I said, that's 2 in a row that I really, really enjoyed. And what's next week? What's the next episode in 2 weeks?
The episode is This Side of Paradise.
And quickie spoilery review, what do you think?
Interesting episode. We kind of we have a unique type of alien presence for Star Trek, one that's not really repeated often, if not ever. And we get to see a lot of character development for Spock as he kind of encounters an old flame on a colony planet, played by Mrs. Charles Bronson, Jill Ireland, who just fantastic in the episode. If we had to do an Oscars category, I'd love to do one for Best Guest Star Season 1. She would be in the running for it. Not so much an action episode as it is more of an emotional episode. And I think Nimoy carries the whole thing on his back.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's interesting.
Well, I look forward to watching it. Hopefully it'll be 3 in a row. That's, really, really good.
And a good one to watch on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a love story at its heart.
Okay. Well, everybody, thanks. That's the Geek and I this week. Federation Friday, calling it a wraps. Oh, one thing. I don't know if you noticed, we have a new store up.
Yay.
Yeah, it's over on Fourth Wall, geekandI-shop.fourthwall.com. There's the link there. It's down in the description. We got some pretty neat stuff that I've been designing.
Awesome. I have a design in mind as well. Federation Friday, we don't do math on this podcast. T-shirt.
We have candles so we don't smell. Mugs, T-shirts, and this is my favorite for you Jaws fans. I don't know, that hit me one day, and I was like, oh, Squint sounds like Quint. So let's put the two together. 2 of my favorite movies, Jaws and the Sandlot meet in a T-shirt. So head on over, if you wouldn't mind, to geekandI-shop.fourthwall.com and check out our merch. More to come. And that's about it. Thanks again, everybody, for hanging out and playing with us. Martin, thank you. We will see you in 2 weeks. Have a great Valentine's Day.
You as well.
Weekend.
Your lovely wife.
And we will catch you again. Got a new, what do you call it? A reaction video coming up. I just did episode 10 of Soap. Moving on to episode 11 or 12. I forget which one, because this is Federation Friday, where there is no math involved. So,
wait, let's amend that. There's always math involved, but it's rarely correct.
So we will see you in 2 weeks. Excuse me on that. And we'll talk to you again. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Peace out, everyone.
Have a great week, 2 weeks, or whatever. Enjoy your weekend. Stay warm, stay dry, stay chill.
Stay golden, Polly boy.
Good night, everybody.